Walter Bagehot and the Civil War. History 306, The Civil War in Global Perspective, 2022. Was Walter Bagehot. Walter Bagehot was a British writer who witnessed the unease amongst his fellow citizens seeking political reform surrounding voting in the 1860s. Fearing how this new democracy would operate, he began his studies of the American Constitution and Britain and writing about his findings. His background in banking and financial journalism would lead to him expanding his research into the cotton industry. After a fortuitous marriage to the daughter of the owner of The Economist, an important English media outlet, he took over as editor-in-chief of the paper, giving him an outlet for his essays on the Civil War and the U.S. Constitution. He would go on to explore the inner workings of both the British and American constitutions, comparing their efficacy in creating opportunities for government leadership. In his analysis of the American Constitution, Bagehot determined that it lacked the flexibility to evolve with the changing political climates. He believed this was especially true in the case of the American Civil War, concerned that defects in the Constitution would not allow for the swift defeat of the Confederate cause, believing, quote, "It is impossible not to observe that the whole mischief has been not caused but painfully exacerbated by the unfortunate mixture of flexibility and inflexibility in the United States Constitution." His concerns regarding the Constitution lay mainly in its lack of efficiency. The competing branches of government and systems of check and balances ensured that the state did not fall into tyranny, but at a cost of a slower governmental process with barriers between the executive and legislature. For Bagehot, the cardinal failing of the American government was that it lacked the simplicity provided by a single supreme authority, which the House of Commons provided in Britain. Bagehot himself was a firm believer in civil rights and was concerned that these issues would stand in the way of the United States' ability to subdue the Confederacy. Bagehot seemed to align with the views of the Union on the issue of civil rights. However, the most significant difference was his thoughts on the institutions of American government. While American citizens felt they benefited from a democratic system that afforded separation of powers, ensuring no single branch of government could dominate over the others, Bagehot saw the American government as an inefficient system for handling the conflict, believing that the Civil War could be dealt with more effectively by a strong central government with fewer checks and balances. Bagehot maintained his opinion on the American government. His opinion of Lincoln's leadership as the war progressed did evolve. Early in Lincoln's term, Bagehot had concerns about Lincoln's efficacy as president and how he was choosing to approach the war with the Confederacy, stating that the president was, quote, "wanting in the liberal acquirements and mental training which are the principal elements of an enlarged statesmanship." However, as the war progressed, Bagehot noted that Lincoln controlled executive power with great leadership, admiring the way Lincoln expanded his central authority without overstepping the intentions of the Founding Fathers. Bagehot's writings explain how the American political system allowed for revolutions, making the Civil War possible in the 1860s. Seeing the war through the lens of an outside perspective gives readers the ability to speculate on how the progression of political affairs may have differed had the Founding Fathers adopted a system of government more closely resembling the British. Bagehot asserts the separation of powers and schedule for re-electing political leaders allowed the Confederacy to form, and that the war may have never happened if the United States government allowed for a stronger executive leader to control the government during the separation of the Confederacy. Bagehot was a British citizen who likely valued the authority of the monarchy and prime minister, and argues a strong centralized control of government could have promptly put an end to the Confederacy and slavery in America. However, he does not expound on potential dangers of an overpowered central government. The potential advantage of swift Confederate defeat should also be weighed against the dangers of tyranny and the potential for American voters to elect weak presidential leadership. Overall, Bagehot helps to give historical perspective on the Civil War by providing philosophies on how the American Constitution altered the advancement of the Civil War.